44 veterans a day take their lives. If you just remove suicide from the veteran demographic, suicide is rampant everywhere.
The goal is to bring 44 to zero.
Angelo Martinez, the founder of the Barracks Legend Foundation, is committed to preventing depression and suicide among isolated veterans across Florida.
I was that ignorant civilian that didn't understand all the struggles that he was describing for the military community. So I looked at him and I was like, I'll help you. How different can nonprofit be from profit? Two different worlds, by the way.
And then we combined to create that Barracks Legend Foundation. If your heart doesn't align with our mission, you're in the wrong place. When you're around 90-something veterans, chances are, whatever you're going through, someone's either gone through or is also going through too. Just a few months prior, I'd almost killed myself. So hearing that other guys and girls had experienced something similar or were kind of in that dark place was very fulfilling for me. There's not going to be another veteran that takes his life that's going to come back. There's not. If we can restore a veteran, we can restore possibly a marriage, which can restore a family, which thus restores a community.
Special day. We have Barracks Legend Foundation in the building.
That's right. That's right. We're here.
Absolutely. Introduce yourselves.
Oh, well, my name's Angelo Martinez, and I am the founder and CEO of the Barracks Legend Foundation.
And I'm Natalia Earl, the Chief Operating Officer of the Barracks Legend Foundation.
You know, Chief Operating Officer sounds more important than CEO.
It is more important. It really is. I'm just a pretty face with great hair. Everything else, that's her.
You're right. That's why we gave you the 50 mil.
That's right. It's all blurred out.
Close up. So, exactly, you know, for us, you guys know that I'm a veteran, obviously. Barracks Legends Foundation, for those who don't even know what barracks are, you know, explain how you got the name for this foundation.
You know, I was making a shirt company a while back, and obviously we're Marines. So a lot of the stories that make us who we are and mold us to be the crazy people that we are start where? The barracks. The barracks is where we live. It's like a dorm for civilians, but it's the stories that cultivate who we are and who we become, and that's how you become a barracks legend.
Okay. And so where did the idea come from for a foundation?
So we'll have to hop back to 2019. It was December of 2019, and I was sitting on a broken futon that I was living on at the time, my best friends, and I had made the decision to kill myself. And I was overwhelmed with peace. And if there's ever a time that a decision can lie to you, it's then. Because you have all these things that are happening, all this pain and possibly suffering, and you make that decision to kill yourself and it all goes away. And you think that, you know what, this is the right decision, but I was wrong. And I made that decision. I was like, all right, I'm gonna, I'll wait for my roommate to leave. And I got up as he left to go retrieve the AK-47 from his room. And as I was walking to the room, my phone rang, and it was a Marine that I had recently met. And he had invited me out to go shoot a video for his supplement company. And in my head, I was like, well, he doesn't know me and I don't know him, so it won't really matter. And it beats what's going to happen right now. And I can still come back and do it and no one will know. Okay. So I agree. I go out to the beach. I dressed up as a Navy SEAL Christmas elf. And I had a blast. And I was around other soldiers, sailors, and Marines. And I remember coming back home and sitting on this broken futon and going, I don't have to kill myself anymore. I don't have to die. Because I was filled with so much joy and happiness that I realized that although all this pain and suffering was happening at the time, like there was so much more to life. And how crazy could I have been to go walk into that room and use that AK and kill myself? And it clicked in my head. It was like, oh, that's what it is. I needed veteran camaraderie. I need to be around these guys. And I clung to them for for forever, really. And that's really what gave birth to the Barracks Legend Foundation, because I'm one of many that have, came close or have taken their lives. And it's not 22 veterans, it's 44 veterans a day
Wow.
take their lives. That number 22 excludes alcohol related incidences, drug overdoses, stuff like that. So when you take 22 and you add those, it shoots up to 44. And that's a hard number for me to just not sit here and talk about it, let alone sit here and not do anything about it, And that's really where all this came from.
Absolutely. And how long had you been EAS'd before that moment?
I got out in May 2011, and that happened December 12th of 2019, or around that time frame.
Gotcha. Okay. And at what point did you meet Natalia?
I met her at a fundraising event through the Ageless World of Dance, and I was one of their keynote speakers. And I spoke, and she came up after and asked me if I wanted to be on her podcast, Buckle Up, which is, by the way, in 53 countries. She does a killer job at it. But she asked me, and I came on, we became friends, and she said, hey, why aren't you doing this yourself? And that's really what sprouted into what is the Barracks Legend Foundation today.
So Natalia.
It's a whole different story.
Actually, I was forced to do this.
What was it like for you before meeting Angelo?
Peaceful.
Very. My life was normal.
You got some sleep?
Yeah. I mean, in what sense? Like, what was I doing with my life? Or
Well, yeah, just give us, a quick preview what life was like before Barracks Legend Foundation, because I know for me, knowing you, it's hard to imagine what you're not part of. What? Like, I don't even know if you had a normal life,
Right.
So what happened?
I immigrated in this country about 30 years ago. So I truly do believe that we live in the best country in the world.
You're over 30?
Yeah. Can you
Wow.
believe that?
Wow.
Stop it. So to me, I'm so grateful to you guys, to the men and women that fought for this country and its citizens. And, I really do believe that this is a land of opportunity, right? This is why you come to America, because it's not about who you know, it's about what you can do. And you have an ability to be an entrepreneur and chase your dreams. And which other country will tell you, like, oh, here is money, go to school and become someone, right? And I don't think like so many Americans really understand what they have. And I always say, like, travel outside of US, but not on US dollars. And then you will see what the world is like outside of this country. So when I came here, I started in the restaurant industry. I was in the hospitality industry for 12 years. I was a 25-year-old general manager, managing $4 million restaurant. Half of the time I was like, I don't know how I got myself into this, but we are doing it. So I understand a lot of operations. I come from a corporate world where, they give you checklists and structure. And that's what I bring to the table at Barracks right now. And in my 30s, I changed my career and I went into beauty industry. So I'm an owner of a studio, and I was expanding in LA right before COVID. And then we know the world shut down and I had to come back because I was like, I'm not getting stuck there. I'm going back to Florida, where we have freedoms of doing things. And so I've been self-employed for over 10 years now.
Hey.
Yes. So I really know profit world because I've built so many businesses and I've opened so many restaurants. That I understand how business works. So when I met Angelo and I was that ignorant civilian that didn't understand, what do you mean you guys are struggling with this? What do you mean you don't have all these benefits? Because all my friends before that joined military, all I would hear like, oh, I joined because I have all these, support and they're paying for my college. And I was that ignorant civilian that didn't understand all the struggles that he was describing for the military community. So I looked at him and I was like, I'll help you. How different can nonprofit be from profit? So, two different worlds, by the
Totally
way.
different.
Don't recommend it. But here we are, and it's been a wild ride for the past year. What started as a passion project has become a full time job. And Angelo and I, we are so passionate about our purpose and mission that we don't take a penny. All the money that we raise goes back to the community 100%. And I have never been happier to do the work that I've been doing.
No, that's nice. That's nice. And so she brought up a good point of the world shutting down. And so that had to be like your biggest nemesis, when founding something like this. If you founded that in 2019, you did that right before the world shut down.
Well, so it took a few years for me
Okay.
to get there, right? Because what had really kind of taken place was I had moved from Pennsylvania back down here.
Mm-hmm.
I was going through a pretty rough divorce, so I left my house and all that, and so 2019 happened. I started immersing myself in the veteran community. This is where I met and discovered all those other nonprofit organizations that were doing work for veteran suicide prevention, Irreverent Warriors, and stuff like that. So I gained a lot of experience, not just fundraising, but learning how to build relationships, learning how to wear pants eventually. Because a lot of it's fun. Like that, those kind of nonprofits are fun, and it's not as serious as what we do. It's still a serious mission, but just on a lighter note.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of growing up and a lot of molding to do. I was still going to school. I had gotten my bachelor's in exercise science at FAU, and I was fundraising for Irreverent Warriors. I did it for Wounded Veteran Relief Fund, Connected Warriors. So I gained a lot of experience before I met Natalia, and then we combined to create that Barracks Legend Foundation.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. And so I guess I'll switch the question to, what was it like for you in interacting with other veterans still at that time before COVID, being able to bring everybody outside and have those gatherings versus being told you can't go outside?
So funny enough, when I met the other Marine that was helping me like get my life together, he owned a gym, and we started a random workout. So, we're just gonna invite veterans. We'll just, because the world shut down, kind of except for Florida.
Yeah.
And we're not gonna let them just perish, right? So we started Savage Saturday workouts. It started with 5 of us. That was in February, right before the world shut down. February 2020, we started Savage Saturday. By May, we were at about 90 veterans.
Wow.
Free workout. These guys and girls were coming from all over. They would drive from Miami. They would drive from West Palm, sometimes Naples. Occasionally, you'd have guys and girls from Orlando, Key West, come up just to come be a part of veteran community. And afterwards, I think the cherry on top really, or I'd probably say the real glue to it, is not so much the workout, but the engagement and going to eat and do things together afterwards. Because we can work out and it's fun to sweat and suffer together, but the real relationships are built when you sit down and you're one-on-one or with a group of people, and you're kind of exposing that vulnerable side of yourself of what's been going on. Because when you're around 90 something veterans, chances are whatever you're going through, someone's either gone through or is also going through too, so that being able to facilitate something like that
Mhm.
and build that kind of community really gave me a lot of experience, but also was very, very fulfilling. Because I mean, I just a few months prior, I'd almost killed myself.
Mhm.
So hearing that other guys and girls had experienced something similar or were kind of in that dark place was very fulfilling for me to be able to share those kind of hurts.
No, that's big. And so, in finally forming Barracks Legends Foundation, you coming from a for-profit side and you starting up something nonprofit, what are some of the biggest challenges you faced at first in making this company work?
Ooh. Well, I I'll start with the biggest challenge for us was finding the right people to be around us,
Mm.
right? A lot of people will say, we will help you, we'll do whatever, but when it's time to do the work, they're gone. A lot of people want you to do good, but not better than them.
Mm.
A lot of people have ulterior motives. A lot of people will sit here and say, oh, we're family, but we're not. They're saying it because they want you to believe and trust them so that we can elevate them, so that we can connect them somehow, some way. And we learned that the hard way.
Mm.
We relied on a lot of people at the beginning, not because we wanted to, but because we gave them the trust and the confidence that they were going to help us and support us. And I can tell you this, in the 3 months that we started, we'll say May, June, July,
Mhm.
not a lot got done when we said, hey, here's what you guys are going to do because you guys said you were going to do it. Nothing, the needle didn't get far. The moment we retook the reins and did it ourselves, 2 weeks in August, we did everything that needed to be done to move the needle where we needed to be by ourselves. When Natalia and I say we're crazy, and this is, she works 2 full-time jobs. I have school. We're like 100 hours a week doing
Wow.
this because we believe in this mission. So when people come to us and they say, we want to help. Okay, well, what do you want to do? And 9 times out of 10, it's always, well, we want you guys to do this for us. It's
Mm.
never, how can we collaborate? It's never, how can we support you? So we've learned how to vet people and vet uh, different companies that say they are who they say they are. We've had to vote board members off. We've had to remove people from our team because it's not because they're bad, because their hearts don't align with our mission. If your heart doesn't align with our mission, then you're in the wrong place. Doesn't mean you're bad. It just means you're in the wrong place and you need to be somewhere where you'll thrive, because you'll never thrive where we're at. So that's
Got it. Okay. What about your point of view?
I always tell Angelo that one of the non-negotiable things with me are my values, right? So because him and I align with our values and our mission, it was easy for us to flag the things. But especially for me as an outsider, because some of the people that were surrounding us were, his friend or network, and I just kept an eye on things because that's my job, to protect the foundation. And I just make decisions very fast because you want to get rid of the bad apples very fast when you see that. And one of the biggest lessons we've learned is never do a business without a contract. Because no matter what, if they've been your brother, your sister, or best friend for years, when it comes to business and money, people will surprise you.
Oh, yeah.
So always have a contract, always have everything in writing. I tell everyone, treat each email like it will show up in a courtroom at some point. So I am an over communicator, and just making our board members and team members to donate $50 a month, $50 a month, exposed a lot of people that weren't there for right reasons.
Wow.
And some feedback was like, well, it's a matter of principle. I was like, I'm not asking you to do something that me and Angelo are not doing ourselves, because we donate ourselves $50 a month to the foundation. So when these things came up, it was very easy to make decisions, but it's very frustrating because you're so new, you have so much going on, and you literally don't have time to be wasted on this, like back at the house or on your team or on your core team. And then, of course, dealing with the IRS and the paperwork took almost 10 months to receive. So it was us doing a lot of like fundraising and, getting the foundation moving without the actual paperwork yet. But you can still act like a foundation, but you can't do as much because all the big donors want the actual paperwork, right?
Yeah.
And I understand why, because there are a lot of nonprofits out there that are doing work, but nobody knows what type of work. Some of them don't even have websites. They don't have board members and etc. So there is just so much going on out there. And we've learned that your reputation in the nonprofit world is your currency, right? So you have to be transparent. You have to, that's what we lead with. I tell people, I'll disclose every bank statement. I have nothing to hide. We know exactly where each penny goes. All the money goes through me. Nobody has access to it. Every penny is accounted for. We are on GuideStar. We just got our gold seal for transparency.
Hey.
We are on top nonprofits, top 10 for the military for 2024.
Wow.
So again, if anybody has questions, we're willing to answer. And I think that's very rare, unfortunately, in the nonprofit world.
No, absolutely. That's rare in the business world, And so, what it makes me think of is the difference in types of nonprofits, because Rolex is a nonprofit.
We just learned that a
So
few weeks ago.
Rolex is a nonprofit. The NFL is a nonprofit.
Yeah.
And so it's like there's levels to it where it can be a certain type of way. And so I guess what I'll say is, how do you guys reach out to these sponsors and these organizations to let them know, hey, this is who we are and this is what we have going on?
Well, for the most part, because I've done so much fundraising prior to, a lot of the sponsors we have already know who I am, so we have that relationship already. And when we add new sponsors, 9 times out of 10, it's someone they know that is just word of mouth. We'll go to other businesses, or we'll run into people that we're just like, hey, we looked you up, saw you online, and we'd like to host a fundraiser for you. Or some of our friends, they're the ones spreading the word. We have a fundraiser May 4th. Cuvo Taco. Wasn't planning it, didn't think anything about it. Our friend Joey P was like, hey man, I got this taco place and they're looking for a nonprofit, and I told them all about you and they might call you. I was like, oh cool, didn't expect it. They called us. They're like, you guys don't have to do anything. Just if you guys have board members or team members, send them, we'll feed them, and we're gonna have a terrific fundraiser for you guys. And we're like, oh, that's cool. It's just all word of mouth, because a lot of people, they don't know about what's really happening. They see 22, they see people doing push-ups for veteran suicide, and it's not that push-ups aren't bad, but what's 22 push-ups going to do versus a phone call, or lunch or dinner or going to see your friend? So they see the mission and they see the heart of the mission, and that's what really builds that relationship. And a lot of times if you just remove suicide from the veteran demographic, suicide is rampant everywhere. I know I shared this story a few weeks back. We ran into somebody down in Miami, and this is pretty funny. He had a giant Eagle Globe and Anchor chain. And I saw him, and I was like, Natalia, give me a business card. She goes, all right, here. I was like, I saw a Marine, I gotta go talk to him. And I run off to him, and he, big old Marine. And I go, oh, we run a nonprofit, the Barracks Legend Foundation. Love to have you come out. And he was like, so what is it for? It's like veteran suicide prevention. And he put his big hand on my shoulder, and he was like, my wife's sister's husband just killed himself.
Yeah.
It's literally, it's rampant. So even though we're a nonprofit that's focused on veteran suicide prevention, suicide is so rampant that it resonates with so many people around us.
Hmm.
And that's the root of it. Is there's just loss, and people don't want that anymore.
Yeah. And one thing I'd like to add to that is because I've done so much research with other nonprofits, I'll reach out and I'm like, what is the biggest lesson that you have learned? Or what is the biggest mistake that nonprofits make? And a few of them touched on the relationship, the whole relationship with your sponsors.
Hmm.
Because so many people just take the money and then you'll hear back from them like next year, hey, oh, it's that time of the year, would you be willing to make a donation? But it's all about that human connection and human relationship. So every month we send out a newsletter telling people where exactly their money goes, which events have we held, how many veterans have they helped. We feature our heroes of the month. And through those newsletters, we have gotten new sponsors,
Wow.
people that wanted to donate, but they weren't sure before. I got this email, oh, this is great. Keep up the great work. And then I think the day later, he received a phone call and we received a huge donation.
Wow.
So, yeah.
No, that's amazing. And so in dealing with these veterans, what is a course of action that can take place, if somebody is still having that mental issue after they come out, that in between time between events?
So one of the things that we really pride ourselves on is being a bridge, right? Yes, we want veterans to come out to our events to meet other veterans. Why? Because we want to improve their mental health. Obviously, that plays a major factor in preventing veteran suicide. Excuse me. However, if you come to us and you tell us that you've been struggling, what we like to do is connect you to a nonprofit or to an organization that provides care for you. So during our events, we've discovered veterans that, obviously still struggle. So I might point them to Stop Soldier Suicide or one of the nonprofits organizations that provide free mental health. NSU, they do a fantastic job of providing free mental health for family and kids. Uh, if we discover someone was homeless, there's so many things that are going on. But what we like to do is when you show up and you tell us there's a problem, we have a solution. If we don't have the solution, we know somebody that has the solution, and we're going to direct you to them. I got a call yesterday for one of our veterans. It was like, hey, I'm going through a divorce. I'm behind on bills, not because I haven't been paying, but because the other person hasn't. What should I do? And I was like, you're going to call the Wounded Veteran Relief Fund. I'm going to connect you to this person and this person. I'm going to call them right now. And what happened, they're going through the process and they're going to help them take care of those things. Because that's how quick it should be. It should be, obviously there's some investigation to be had just in, because we don't give out money, but we want to be able to be that bridge so that when something does happen, it's almost immediate that they're able to receive that care and help.
Got
I
it.
think it's important to break down those silos between all the nonprofits because no organization has all the resources, So instead of looking at it as a competition, it should be collaboration, right? So how can we help? Because the true purpose and true core mission are the veterans. So how can we help them? And that's why we keep our events on a smaller scale, because those smaller events allow us to have those deep conversations and one-on-one conversations and ask those personal questions to see where exactly they need the support. And then we are like, okay, we know someone that does a great work with TBI in Atlanta. They'll fly you there. They'll house you, and not very many veterans know that these resources are available, whether it's a hormonal therapy or substance abuse. We work with so many incredible organizations that do incredible work, but not very many people know about it. So instead of concentrating on the width, we concentrate on the depth. Because yes, it's great to reach to many people, but that doesn't really necessarily mean that you're having or doing the impact that you need to do.
Got it. And so how do you guys come up with the events?
Mr. Visionary over here.
I try to think of what's going to be the most attractive,
Mhm.
right? I try to think of what's going to draw me out, you know, a picnic or going shark diving. What's going to draw me out? Going for a walk or going to the comedy show. So I try to make it as fun as and eventful as possible,
Mhm.
so that they look at it and they go, swimming with sharks in Jupiter. Have I ever done that? No. I mean, it's free of charge. You know what? I'm gonna try it.
Hmm.
Is it terrifying? Yes, it is. But it's something that you've probably never done, or it's something that you're gonna want to do again and again. So I try to look at these events and plan them in a way that are attractive, fun, but also allow time for veterans to meet other veterans and families to meet other families, because that's the root of it. I mean, yeah, we want to improve mental health, prevent veteran suicide, but if we can restore a veteran, we can restore possibly a marriage, which can restore a family, which thus restores a community.
No, absolutely.
So that's like the mindset behind
Yeah.
these events.
Okay.
He gets carried away at times. He's like an airplane I have to ground because he's a visionary and I'm an
Mhm.
integrator. So I'm
Mhm.
like, no, we can't afford that. No,
True.
not right now, but maybe later on. So it's actually really fun to see how creative he gets. And he also speaks the language, he understands the community.
Mhm.
And it's just beautiful to see come to life.
Got it. And so that makes me think of another, way to look at it. And so how does, I don't even know how I want to ask this. How do you okay, you get a sponsor or you get somebody that makes a donation. How do you choose what goes to what?
So normally, if let's say like there's a specific event they want, and that's the specific event the money goes to. But what we've found is a majority of our sponsors like donating quarterly.
Hmm.
And it allows them to donate from the comfort of knowing what they're going to be able to provide. And they go baseline. They go, all right, I know quarterly I can do this, but if I can do more, I'll do more. So it allows them that comfort. It also quarterly allows us to have a stable schedule based on what we're going to get.
Got it.
Because we don't like, one, we don't like to spend money just to spend money. Natalia will tell you that it is on lockdown. One of the things I wanted to do was Tank America in Orlando, and it's like $1,000 a tank ride. And she was like, "No." It's like, "Come on, well, maybe a few." And she's like, Do you have $10,000?" I was like, "All right, you're right. You're absolutely right. We don't. Maybe next year." But what we do is, if they do quarterly, depending on how much they donate, because we have a sponsorship tier, we will go to their actual facility or venue. We'll shoot a video with them. We'll get their why. We'll make videos with them and for them, and we'll have special events that are dedicated to them. So it just depends on if they choose quarterly or a specific event.
It's our way of giving back as well. And at the end of the day, it all comes down to budgeting, right? So we like to prioritize. And I look at it at the events per quarter. Okay, what are some of the events that we do yearly? What are some of our signature events? Because we already know how much it's going to cost us. Like, let's say the Shark Day, we did it last year. The guys wanted us back again. So, it's very easy to budget. And also, one of the biggest lessons we've learned is to say no. There are times when you have to say no, because a lot of organizations have figured out that nonprofits need money and they'll say yes to anything, and they'll be like, oh, so much percentage goes back to you and we'll disclose the numbers, and they never do. And in the end of the day, like, you end up spending so much time on, and they expect you to market it, right? Like, you're literally promoting someone else's business. So we've made a few mistakes, but we have learned, because those are not mistakes, those are lessons. And now we understand that what your time is worth. And if they're coming back with that $500 check, I'm sorry, but it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Right. So understanding that was so eye-opening for us. And yes, like it looks great on paper, but it doesn't work.
There's so many unique ways to fundraise, and so many unique ways that sponsors can support. We have the Modern Rose in Hollywood. They created the Barracks Legend drink, and 20% of that goes back to our foundation.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because there's so many unique ways to do it that it's mind-boggling at times.
Wow. No, that's super dope. And you know, it makes me think, is your board comprised of civilians and veterans?
Yes, we have 3 members on our board right now. We have Matt Chenworth, the Director for Veteran Affairs at NSU. We have Daryl Guilford from Geo Group, and we have Christiana Becerra, an Emmy-nominated producer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And how do you choose, or do you choose? Well, I think you choose, you know, who goes on the board.
That's a great question. We vetted every single person that was going to be within close proximity of decision making. And you know, you may have come out and hung out with us or done an event with us. During that event, you're being interviewed. You just don't know it, because we're looking for your character, we're looking for your heart, and we're looking for how you engage the veterans, most of all, and their families, of course. And we also gauge how you treat staff, how you treat people at restaurants.
Yeah.
You know, like we actually look at that. That is something that we do very well, is we vet who is around our decision making.
And we also have that paperwork. I can't remember of the
the
name.
NDA.
Not the NDA, the other one where, you know.
Oh, the bylaws.
Bylaws.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly the word I was looking for. In our bylaws, it's we have it written very detailed, and each board member has a year. And after a year, we vote, all of us vote again, who's in, who's out, because I wanted to have those terms and conditions in there, because, you know, a lot of times what we found from our past experiences where we had to vote off some board members was they were there for their own profit or ego, or everybody wants to say they're on a board, but no one really wants to do the work. But we've been blessed with this 3 incredible individuals that go beyond what we ask for. And it's just incredible to see that they truly have a heart for veterans.
And so if it's something, you know, 1 or 2 things that you wanted civilians who aren't immersed in to the veteran lifestyle, you know, to understand about what your foundation is doing, what would those be?
I would say that if there's a civilian out there that is looking to be involved, right? The one thing they should know is that these veterans, we're not broken. Like, we're just very much so misunderstood. That's what it is. For a long time, I would say, "Oh, I'm broken." Granted, my brain doesn't work as well as, and I joke about it, but we're not broken. There are so many veterans out there that don't realize the potential and capacity of the things that they can do. All they have to do is get around the right people, the right mentors, and the right group around you, right? Because you're the average of who surrounds you, the
Absolutely.
5 people, right? And I could list off the 5 people that are around me, and they're either entrepreneurs, business owners, or they're on some sort of executive board. And those people are the ones that lift me up and mentor me and mold me. Those are the people. So if there's anyone out there that wants to get involved, they have to know that veterans aren't broken. We're just very much so misunderstood, and we have so much potential with the right people to do so many amazing things.
And as a civilian, you know, for me personally, it was like, how can I serve my country without serving my country? And it's through our amazing veterans, because so many of them have sacrificed so much, and for some at an ultimate cost, right? But then there are still families that are left behind. So I know we, you know, sometimes overthink or over question, well, what can I bring to the table? I can't relate to PTSD or trauma, but you're a human being. you have same emotions, same feelings. Sometimes all that someone needs is someone to talk to, someone to hear them out, someone to give them a hug, someone to say thank you. So, and if you can't donate money, you can donate time. And every single one of us have some sort of skill set that we bring to the table. So, like through volunteering or showing up to the event and just socializing, and even just socializing with the spouses. They also need support, because a lot of times I keep an eye on spouses, and they're always like, oh, well, where were you when, you were gone and this was happening with our children, or I was going through this, right? So what kind of a support we can give to the wives or husbands? There's so many ways that the community can show up, because the true community will never judge you. True community will always show up at no matter what time of the day it is, because we live in a social media hyper driven world, but loneliness is a global issue.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And so we've reached the part of the podcast where we call this the gem drop. And so if somebody, whether they're veteran or not, wanted to start a foundation, because you guys have a very, I'm in business myself, and I'm hearing all the organizational stuff, and you guys have got a good structure, give them the first 3 steps in going into starting a proper scaled foundation.
For me, I think it would be having a right partner, because you can't do it by yourself. And don't get a partner that has the same skill set. Get the opposite of your skill set. I think why Angelo and I work so well together, like I said before, because he's a visionary and I'm an integrator. Because visionaries are great at, let's say, describing or having a vision, but they don't necessarily know how to bring it to life, right? The integrators bring the skill set. Oh, we can take this money, and we can make it happen this way. And I'm not taking away from visionaries that they can't do that either. But when you have those two strong sides, that you have opposite skill sets, because he makes me push myself and get uncomfortable in the situations when I want to say no. Yeah. Right? Because I'm an overthinker. But then he'll be like, no, we're doing it. So it's good to have that balance where if he wants to fly too high like an airplane, I'll ground him. So that partnership of having someone, having the right who's around you is very important. But it's not always an option to hire those right who's either, because there is no money or etc. Yeah. But then teach yourself some skill set that at least will get you through that first layer of starting a business. Do a lot of research, ask other nonprofits. My favorite questions are, where have you failed at? What wish you would have known in the beginning, right? And a lot of nonprofits will share those information with you. So I think, to me, that's so important, of having that right partner and education. And as a leader, you always have to know when to step aside. No, because like the skill set that I bring to the table, like I have a number in my head, like I can bring foundation to 5 million. But after 5 million, how do we grow to 150 million? That takes the COO of a whole different skill set. So that is when, if I'm not able to grow as fast because I'm so busy and learn, then I do step aside and say, hey, let's put someone else in here and let's go to the next level.
Got it.
No. I'm glad you mentioned that too, because doing it yourself, we relied on some people at the beginning, and they failed us, not because they failed, but because we relied on them to build our foundation. It's not their foundation, it's our foundation. It's not their baby, it's our baby. So that's just to add on top of that. And I think another to add to that would be really good at building relationships. Because, and we talked a little bit about it, you can take money and then you'll hear back from them a year later, right? But that does nothing. There's nothing growing in your foundation about that. But if you go there and you host events there and you build a relationship with the owner, you might even become friends. Obviously, you separate that a little bit, but and you're hosting. I do meetings at majority of our sponsors' restaurants,
Nice.
just because it's our way of supporting them. Get really good at building relationships. Get really good at reciprocating the love that they're giving you, because I want to say it's 86% of the money that you receive in a year are the same people that will donate the following year. And if you build those relationships and you build them strong, you build that bond, 9 times out of 10, they're going to keep supporting you to help you grow, because one, they like you as a person, but two, they believe in that mission. So that would be my part of adding to that process.
No, wow. This was informational. There's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes besides just events that everybody can show up to. I've been to some of you guys' events personally, and they're an amazing time. I meet amazing people, even ones that you collaborate on, like the Silky's Height and all that type of stuff. Just meeting a slew of different people, especially from different branches, because we do throw banter out there where we're like, Army, okay, Air Force, all right, but seeing everybody coexist together, and even having the civilians mixed in there to a certain point, like, it's an inviting community, an inviting presence. And so, what is your long-term goals for Barracks Foundation outside of just bringing veterans out?
We want to make sure that we build a really strong footprint in South Florida before we expand. So our goal is to build that footprint, but also to expand into other cities in Florida, so that we can provide these services to veterans that are in the area. And hopefully within the 3 to 5 year range, we'll be in different states, from Texas, Alabama, Georgia, the surrounding states of Florida. So that's really long-term. We want to be nationwide, because we had the opportunity to expand in 12 states.
Wow.
Natalia shut it down because that's the right thing to do. I was crazy.
We're not ready.
Yeah, we are not ready at all. Not that it's bad, but because we don't have enough of a footprint here. And that's the thing. We want quality over quantity.
Absolutely.
And if I can if we can facilitate a quality event, perfect. That means there's been some depth in there. There's some depth happening in that actual event. And if I can't build that relationship with a veteran here and now, that will make you think I can do it in 12 different states at the same time. Can't.
And to have the structure, right?
Yeah.
Or the SOPs and handbooks that other branches can follow. Because this is where things go wrong, that each chapter gets to do whatever they want. It can't be that way, because that's when you lose your mission, your values, because it gets misinterpreted. But when you train them correctly on it and they really understand what it stands for, and if you think it's simple it down even more. Make it like, excuse my language, but I like to call it idiot proof, right? So make it so simple that everybody can follow it and there are no questions or misunderstandings how each event is held, what are some of the expectations from the team or the staff or volunteers. It's very, very important for the foundation's foundation to be so set up that it's just easy to duplicate.
No, absolutely. That's Richard Feynman, right there. And so he won a Nobel Prize for teaching quantum dynamic physics to middle school kids. And they understood it when people were in college dropping out from it and whatnot, because he simplified it. And they say, if we want to teach business or teach understanding structure, we have to simplify it that a kid would understand how to tell somebody else what this is. And so, we relate to that as well, because we eat crayons. So it fits.
Yeah, it does.
It fits. But guys, this was amazing. Just even learning about the birth of Barracks Legend Foundation, seeing how different your backgrounds are and how that actually complements you guys. And, I would have thought you were a veteran. But I did when I first met you. I thought you were a veteran. I was like, oh, okay, well, it's cool. But, that level of understanding, from a civilian perspective for us makes us feel comfortable as well.
Right.
Because we're not the most, we're law abiding, but we're not the most, what's the word I'm looking for?
Welcoming.
We're not the most normal. I mean, it's another word from normal, but we're different.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we do other things around civilians, like a lot of veterans have to contain themselves a little bit because you can't have the same level of enjoyment that you would with another veteran, because civilians like, this person is out of their mind.
Right.
And it could be completely natural for us.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
But that's one of the things I love about you guys. I literally told my parents, I found my tribe. They get me. I can be direct. No one gets offended. They make me feel like a girl. Even though I'm wearing pants, I feel like I'm wearing a skirt. Like, there are men, it's everything that society lacks. Like, I found that in the veteran community. And women are strong and powerful, smart, beautiful. Same with men. I mean, I never felt so safe in my life. Like, every time I'm with Angelo, like, I don't need to carry. And that's an incredible feeling to have. So if, as a civilian, you really give a chance to this community, just to come out and get to know them and ask questions, it's just, you find so much similarity and so much, because at the end of the day, we're all human.
Yeah.
We all have same emotions. So again, I thank you guys for everything that you've done and continue to do.
You're welcome.
He took his chance. He took his chance. This is the only time she's going to say thank you to me.
Yes.
We'll clip that for him. But no, guys, this is amazing. Thanks for just, out of your busy schedules, because I know you guys are always busy and planning events, but you have personal lives as well. And, that's the last question that I have is, where do you find time to still take care of your mental health outside of this?
Well, I cried in the car for 10 minutes. No, I'm just kidding. It's difficult right now to find the time, and we're together all the time. So I'll speak for myself and I'll let her go. But it's hard to find time right now because we have so many things going on. And to us, if we stop the momentum and we decide to take a day or two off, that really does hurt where we're at. And it doesn't mean that we need to take a back step or anything like that. It just means that we're on to something so big that a day or two off means nothing. Like I've had to, and I think she has too, I've had to miss out on weddings, birthdays, and other major events. And it's not because it's not worth going to. It's just we're on to something so big. And when there are 44 veterans a day taking their own lives, a wedding I can go to another wedding. All those things happen, right? There's going to be plenty of other weddings, plenty of other holidays, plenty of other vacations to come. There's not going to be another veteran that takes his life that's going to come back. There's not. There's no monetary value on that. There's nothing. So until we get to where we need to be, it's one of those things that, we handle ourselves in our own ways, and we find the time in between the craziness that we have.
There is no work-life balance, especially in the beginning, right? There's just none. I just call it as it is, and it's fine, because I think it's important for each person to understand what success means to them and what gives them fulfillment. Because once you understand that and your core values and what gives you fulfillment, you'll do it for free. Because that's exactly what I'm doing right now. And, like my mom told me recently, she's like, Natalia, I've never seen you work so hard, make zero money and not complain. And you never even cried once, because every other job I've had before, I would complain to my mom, I hate it. I don't belong there. This is not what I'm meant to do. Because deep down, I knew I was not on the right path, but I was there for the money because money pays your bills, right? So now, working with the foundation, having my own podcast, and literally seeing the people that come to our events and people that leave are two different humans, the whole body language changes. I looked at him and I was like, I get it. Work me to death. Like, I get it. And now I'm in it. I'm committed. And we are starting a movement, because in movement, what happens is we are forgotten in 3 generations, right? And if we have to close our doors or we are no longer around, there will be people carrying the movement, because the goal is to bring 44 to 0.
Wow. to you both articulated that very well, and I used to feel somewhat of the same response when it came to work-life balance, until it actually broke me. And so, I've been self-employed almost a decade now. If I added collectively, it's been over a decade, but since I've been EAS, almost a decade. And so, one thing that I've learned on the journey, and a quote that I give to people, mentees, and all that stuff, is you have to make your restriction your nutrition. And what I mean by that is the mental part of it. And so me going to school with the GI Bill, I tried to do a double major for some reason. And I did psychology, and I did the easiest thing possible, arts, because I didn't want to do anything else. And so, I ended up dropping out no matter what, especially once the GI Bill finished. But, the stuff that I took from that was, the cognitive things behind how we operate things and how we really get in depth with how we treat life. And one thing that I couldn't and didn't do for myself was take time for me. And it wasn't until I got pneumonia, where I literally could not leave my house. And I almost died, because I had the mentality that, hey, I'm okay. I'm fine. I can keep going. I can keep doing this. And that time with myself alone, where I wasn't answering the phone. I couldn't even answer the phone properly. And, I didn't have a girlfriend at the time or something. And so I was just like, okay, well, this is life. And in that moment of spending time with myself, I added maybe like 20 something people to my company to make it bigger for the production company. And that's how it grew into us getting a contract with Hard Rock Stadium and doing all this stuff and whatnot. And then the second time was I fell asleep at the wheel and crashed my car. And I crawled out of it. But if you were to see my car, there's no way I should have crawled out of that car. Right. And I was forced to, again, sit there and do nothing. And in me doing nothing, the next greatest level up in my company came again. And so, you hear all the time that, make sure you take time for yourself. But it wasn't until those moments. And, that's what made me start diving into why people, don't add as much change to their life, is because sometimes we don't know how, and we don't do things until we're forced to.
100%.
And so imagine what you guys have right now. But if I were to ask both of you, when's the last time you spent 24 hours without even touching your phone? You'd probably be like, it's been a while. And I feel like your biggest breakthroughs next will come after something like that, because you guys are the catalyst already. And so momentum works from the catalyst position. And so imagine if you get to charge up fully, you shoot that beam and it's on.
You have to take time to think.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very important. And how I rest my brain, because my brain doesn't know how to shut off. It's just, I've been like this all my life, is I read. I don't watch TV. I don't like to be on my phone a lot. I read a lot, right? Because that's where new ideas are born. Or that's where I identify new things inside of me that I didn't know, because now it seems familiar when you're reading in the book. So I definitely agree with you, because if you don't have time to think, you can't become an visionary. You can't become that like very creative person. it's just there is also time and place for that. And again, each person has to listen to their bodies.
Absolutely.
Your body will let you know.
Yeah.
There was time like I looked at him and I was like, I need a nap.
Mhm.
I was
Yeah.
at his house. It wasn't even my house. I'm like, I'm taking a nap because that's what I need. And I woke up and I was like, okay, let's get it. But you have to listen to your mind, and you have to, like you said, take that time to think, because it's very, very important.
No, absolutely. But again, guys, this was great.
Yes.
You know, anything you want to leave the audience with before we close out?
You know, I would say that, and I mentioned it before, that if you're a veteran, you're not broken. You're misunderstood. Yes, we have endured so much and we've gone through all these different trials, but you're not broken. You have so much potential. You have so many skills and leadership traits in you that can blow anybody out of the water. You just have to get around the right people. That's all you have to do. You get around some solid people that are doing well themselves so that they can lift you up. And there's so much more to life than what's happening right now. So much more. Because that small, this is the amount of time that I made that decision to kill myself. This is the amount of time it was. All I had to do was get to a place where I dressed up as a Christmas elf. And I just found that joy and happiness. There's so much happiness and joy on the other side. You just have to get through that dark point.
Absolutely.
Don't ever underestimate the hole that you leave behind if you're not around, because we are all so special. We were created by God, and each one of us has something inside of us that's so special. We all bring something to the table, you know, and we all go through hardships. Life is a roller coaster. You know, what goes up must come down, and success doesn't come without dark side. Success doesn't come without failure. And it's okay. There are people, resources, community that will show up. And don't ever feel embarrassed or afraid to ask for help, because your brothers and sisters that have gone through that will show up and will help you.
1000%.
You're not alone.
No, absolutely. And there you have it, the Barracks Legends Foundation. And so if people wanted to follow you guys, you know, support other veterans that watch the show, you know, show up to some events, you know, where could they look for more information to be involved?
They can go to the website, barrackslegendfoundation.com. We have a events calendar. There's tons of events, everything from we have a game night this Saturday. We have our birthday in May. We've got deep sea fishing in June. We've got shark dive. We've got a comedy show in September down at the Miami Improv. There's tons of events up there.
Okay, cool. There you have it. So if you like this, make sure you share with a friend, subscribe, and it's your host, Mastermind Rich. Again, at the end of the day, we are here for another episode of Attractive Mindset. And as we always say, we look good, we live good, life is good. Talk to us, we talk back, and we out.